Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Shay with Amos. I'm your host, Jacob Gorgie, and I just realized this on the way in that this is like my 18th time saying this, but so if you don't know by now, hi, I'm Jacob. Nice to meet you. And joining me today, we actually have two guests. I'm with Botros Henry and Taunt Bassily Henry. How are you guys doing?
Very good, very good.
Awesome. So, let's start from the beginning. Usually I say, when we start from the beginning, it's how did you immigrate?
Sure.
But you have a very fascinating story beforehand on actually how you guys met.
Sure.
So let's start there.
Okay.
First of all, in Egypt, what were you guys doing beforehand, and then how did you guys end up meeting later on?
So we actually, go to the same church. Back home in Egypt, Al-Adra Ard Gulf, St. Mary Ard Gulf. I was studying engineering, okay. I used to travel a lot, but I was a very good friend of Mona's two brothers, Elijah and George. But it stopped at that. I didn't know her. I didn't know that they have a sister. So I studied engineering in Ain Shams University. I finished in 1990, and then I went to continue my study abroad to study masters and PhD in Swansea, which is in Wales, in the UK.
Mm-hmm. And then?
He came back at Christmas time to spend vacation with his family, and my father of confession is the same father of confession of his, and yes, and he saw us coming out of the altar. I'm from the ladies' side, he's from the men's side, and he said, "This guy can fit good for this girl," and he talked to his parents and talked to my parents. And they find to prepare like a family meeting or gathering, so he can come to our home.
Yeah.
and it went from there. It went very fast. Actually, we met and we got engaged immediately after. Of course, both parents did Egyptian thing, asking the blessings of God and attending 3 masses, and to see that really this is the wish of God that we are together. We got engaged, and then we got married within 3 or 4 months. So it was a very, very quick marriage. It was a very quick marriage.
And then in Egypt, you were primarily civil engineer,
construction engineering.
Construction.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you were also, what were you, Malish?
I was studying in the American University in Cairo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know people that go there. That's cool. And then, of course, you had George, Mary, Mary, George.
No,
George.
Mary and me.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So then, how did you guys end up in the States then? Because it seems like Egypt was pretty nice. It seemed pretty fun.
Yes.
So why come to the States? What brought you here?
So we started coming here to visit since 1999. Dr. Bassily, my father-in-law, had a business here in Lombard. So we used to come visit. Mona has a lot of cousins actually in this church. So it was natural that we came to visit, and when in 2011 things changed back home and stuff like that, and because actually George and Mary were in a British American school, so the American system of education wasn't really that strange to us. So we decided for the best for their future and stuff like that to start coming and living here in the States.
Yeah. So how was it living? Because I'm pretty sure you're our first guest who actually was there during the revolution in 2011.
Yes.
So what was it like? Because I remember as a kid, I was seeing outside in.
Sure.
So I'm seeing whatever the news is saying.
Yes.
It's not necessarily inaccurate, but it's what was it like living through that, I guess. So.
Very tense, very tense. Especially, they were school that time. Even if we have an exam, it's not sure that you can reach the school to take the test. And Mina was really young. We stopped. We have been stopped by the army soldiers many times on the road to check the car that no one. They suspect in it, and me kept asking the soldier, "Is this a real gun?"
He wants to play with it.
Yeah. It has been a very tough time, but thank God it passed. Yeah.
And then that leads us then to America.
Sure.
So so when you guys got here, I mean, was the transition tough? I mean, it always is, but like how was that kind of time?
Actually, I mean, God was preparing everything. I mean, like I said, I mean, we have been coming here since 1999. In 2008, I decided to buy a home here. Even long before what happened in 2011. So we bought a home here, and then in 2010 we prepared the papers, the green card, and we got accepted. And so I mean, it was as if God was really planning for us. So the transition, of course, like you said, I mean, leaving family, leaving home, leaving the comfort zone, and coming to start from scratch here is difficult. But thank God, I think ours was much easier than a lot of other people.
It was so difficult for the kids more than us.
Yes, that's true.
To blend in school, to like make a new friends. Not the studying. It's okay with them, and they are hard workers. They got good grades. Actually, it was a point that some of the colleagues, you are just came here and you got this grade. It was really hard for them.
Which this perfectly leads me into the Resurrection Church, which for our viewers at home, if you're an avid viewer of the show, you may remember back in season 1, we interviewed Dr. Rifat Abdelmelek, and he was one of the
Project management team.
Thank you. He was one of the project managers for the Resurrection Church, and we touched on it.
Yes.
But we didn't go into it. In front of us today is the two people who basically did the project. So, so first of all, what did the timeline look like for the Resurrection Church? Like, how did the idea of expanding come about, and then how did it happen?
So I think the idea of expansion of St. Mark has been always there, but it was like on and off. And I mean, of course, what happened in 2011 led to a lot of people moving from Egypt. And of course, I mean, they would move to areas where they have families, they know people that they can go to and blend and stuff like that. So actually, there were a lot of newcomers that are coming to the Chicago area, and especially to St. Mark. So we started on Sundays to use the gym because, I mean, St. Mark wouldn't fit all the people in one mass, so we had to do 2 masses together. So we used the gym, and then so it wasn't really a comfortable thing. So I think the priests, the congregation, and like the prominent members of the church decided that it is about time. And actually, I have to mention my father-in-law, because he at that time was here, and he mentioned that, I mean, it is a must that we have a new church. So I think, I mean, the cooperation of all the priests and the congregation led to that. We started in March 2013 to start a committee for selecting the architect, which is should be the head of the project and stuff like that. We had several names. We selected what we thought is the best architect, and then he also started selecting the construction companies that came and started construction. We broke ground in November of 2013. I mean, from there, we started, we did something called the Tilt-Up Wall, which we actually won an award for it, a nation award.
Is this what you were showing me earlier?
Yes, yes. It's really.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a very, very prominent award, and we won it because we had to work in a very, very adverse conditions, because at that time the winter was almost a -10 Fahrenheit. So we did a tilt-up wall because the normal construction method wouldn't work, and it would have delayed. We were asked to do all the exterior within like 6 months.
Wow.
And the only techniques that would do that in such a short period of time would be the tilt-up wall. So we did the outer construction. Also, we did the dome in a very, very new way. We constructed it on the ground, and then we lifted it up with a helicopter. So
Was it airlifted?
Yes, it was airlifted. Yes. So I mean, we really and for people who are into construction, to pour concrete in -10 Fahrenheit, there's something called winterization. You have to put blankets and stuff like that to keep the concrete active and stuff like that. So really, we did a lot of innovation methods. Dr. Rifat Abdel Malik knew a professor back in Wisconsin-Madison. He helped a lot by bringing Sullivan, who were the contractors. They were from Madison, and it was a team cooperation. And we saw the hand of God in every day of our work.
Really?
Yes. And then, of course, we had helps also from other members of the congregation. Mona has some... Go ahead. Like the pews, like...
Yeah, it's made back in Egypt.
These are
the wooden pews that...
we'll put the pictures up for you guys, so don't worry. This should be
Yes.
flashing as we go.
So this is like
the very first trial.
the very first trial back home and stuff like that. The good thing about the Resurrection Church is it was done here of course, in the state with all the laws and of the construction here in the United States, but also it was done in a purely Egyptian taste. And when I say that, it's because I mean a very, very Coptic way.
Yes.
Starting from the name, the resurrection, Abuna Samuel came up with the name, but I mean it was the first time ever to call a church as a resurrection church, of course, other than the Jerusalem one.
Oh wow! So we're the only one.
Yes, yes. So we had to go.
Wow! I didn't know that. So that's why you had to get.
That's why we had to go to meet Pope Botros. He was visiting California diocese, and we went to him. Abuna Samuel. We went with him, George Aldas and a few other members, and we asked Sayyidina Baba Todros for his blessing, and he actually approved the name and he signed it. So I mean, we are the first church to be called the Resurrection Church.
Was with us too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So and then we wanted everything. I mean, the icon status was designed in Egypt, done in Egypt. The pews were designed and done in Egypt, even the chandeliers, the marble, the granite, everything. So, and we had to move all that with containers to here in the States, and then we laid it back.
I remember seeing containers and not the container, but like the contents being shipped around. For viewer context as well, I was in middle school when this was happening. So I remember a lot of the stuff they're talking about, which is cool. This is the first episode where that's happened, guys. So then what were some of the challenges that came during this time of construction? I mean, because I'm sure, because obviously you said it was a short window to begin
Sure.
with. So what were challenges that you faced personally or as just a group during that time that you feel like could benefit being shared to
Sure.
others?
I think the first challenge was, I mean, the people to recognize that really there is a necessity. And once this has been established, they offered every help they can. So, I mean, the congregation has been extremely wonderful and helpful. The other challenge came from the weather. I mean, we had one of the severest weather ever at that time, like I mentioned, but again, everyone, because we set a time schedule for the project and no one saved any effort not to finish it in that time schedule. So I think those were like the two. But again, I must say that with like the hand of God, the help of the priest, the help of the congregation, I mean, the challenges were very easily overcome.
Not very easily, actually. We were having lots of challenges. He mentioned the first two. And then, to do something in Egypt and then put it in a container, bring
Yes.
it here,
Yes.
it was a very big challenge.
Yes.
Especially in Egypt, they have to inspect everything and make sure it's going where you are saying and things like that. I understand completely because it wasn't a good time in Egypt that time.
Because this is when Morsi. Oh, Morsi.
It was between
Yeah,
the,
Mubarak and Morsi.
between
Oh,
Morsi
and Sisi.
and Sisi.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
So it took a big time and effort, and also commend the challenge of the time difference between you here and there, so you
Yes.
can phone the factory and make all the changes you want, like the marble thing. It took like many changes till come up with this shape. So this took a lot.
Is this something, and you designed this? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
This is drawings I did in the plane. It was a 9 hours flight.
This is one of the challenges. We wanted something decorative for the entrance of for the lobby of the church, but we, of course, obviously, we don't want to put like something that has like a cross or a religious symbol. But she came up with actually a very good idea. I will leave it to Mona.
Of course, it's all from the Bible, the poems, but I preferred like 5 for the number of my family, 5 for the loaf of bread, and 3 grapevines. It's Trinity number and my kid's number. So
So it has a lot of symbols.
So next time you're in the resurrection, George, just don't name them. And then just for people who might be wondering where this is in the actual foyer of the Resurrection Church, the foyer of the sanctuary. Just so, because honestly, so we do pre-interviews beforehand, just so we know what we're talking about. And I didn't realize there's a design there. I didn't know it existed.
Yes,
and then I was like, wow, is that? And it's like, yeah. So if you're ever in the Resurrection Church, look for this. It's very cool. Honestly, it's very cool. So on the topic of the Resurrection Church, in fact, actually, where was the picture? There was a picture that was shown of, here it is. There's this image of Dr. Bassily, sitting on the bench testing it.
is explaining to make the seat wider 1 inch.
Oh, is that what? Oh, that's Uncle Rifat. Dr. Rifat.
Dr. Rifat, yes. And this is the engineer that was responsible for the factory at that time.
Yeah.
And this is the final trial. Botros did it. So.
Oh, good teacher.
We had
Before
to
we
try
imported,
everything.
yeah.
I used to travel to Egypt a lot at this time, so I used to go there, try everything. If it's okay, we put it in the container, and then we come back and get it from here.
Yeah. So, but on the topic of Dr. Tharwat, he passed away in December of 2017.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, especially my age, know who he is. Like, know he's important. A lot of people don't know. So because we were just too young. So who was Dr. Tharwat? Like, who was he? And
My dad.
oh, come on.
Because I know.
Oh, yeah.
I learned everything from
Oh.
him. Yeah.
I mean, definitely. I mean, we would love if your time permits that we have another meeting or interview, especially dedicated to Dr. Bassily, because there's a lot.
Coming out next year. Or next episode, whatever.
There's a lot of to discuss, even in one interview.
Yeah.
But I mean, to sum it up, he was a very religious, righteous man. He loved the church, and everything he was doing was out of fear and of love to God. And he witnessed God in everything in his life. And I think the best achievement that he ever did was CTV. I mean, he did CTV, and now Elijah Mona's oldest brother is the one who is the CEO of it. But the CTV was only done for one purpose,
And George is managing it.
is to enter the church to every house, Christian house worldwide, because he knew that a lot of people, I mean, cannot go to the church for
Seniors.
reasons, seniors, in villages, in abroad where there are no churches, lots of, so he wanted the church, he wanted the mass, he wanted the Christian Coptic education to enter every house. So I think this is, I mean, he had a lot of other achievements, maybe sometime else we can mention it to you. And again, like I said, while we were talking, he was a very prominent figure to actually a reason to do the Resurrection Church. So that's my briefing for the Bassily.
Well, it's funny because he's actually been mentioned. I think a couple episodes we've mentioned the name. I don't think people understand because even recently, as I'm doing these interviews, I begin to connect the dots, and he was involved in so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Like so much,
Yes.
and I don't think and there's stuff that he was involved in that some obviously other people involved knew about, but no one else knew. I mean, really, it's I find it personally like amazing, like incredible. No, really, but Mare, sorry, what were you gonna
I
say?
personally know some stuff till now that I've never knew before.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. People phone me and send messages and said things and stories about him, and he helped in this church or that monastery, and it's not only in Egypt, it's international too, and things like that. This is all related to church or spiritual side, but even in business and businessmen and lots of young generations that he helped and encouraged to start their own business, it's huge. I wish someday that I can write down all this.
Yeah.
But
What was the lesson he taught you that to this day? I mean, I'm sure all of them do, but like
it's
that.
lots.
But what's one that really you always look back on, even like in the hardest time, easiest time? There's one lesson that you always go back to from him. This is off script. I'm sorry.
Good.
That wisdom has to be having two sides, the truth and the mercy. You can't just have one. If you know the truth fully, but you should have some mercy, maybe this will help you judge.
Wow. This is where we're gonna end the episode. Yeah. Well, with that said, we didn't plan to do an Outlook question because we knew we were gonna be kind of going not all over the place, but there'd be a lot of stuff to go through. But there is a question that I did think of that I think is important, especially given that the rate at which the Coptic community in general is growing.
Sure.
I mean, I think in Illinois alone, in the past 10 years, we went from like 2 churches to like 5, right? And I'm
Yes,
sure
that's true, yeah.
New Jersey,
Yeah.
California, they're all
Much more.
Oh yeah, they
Much
continue
more.
to grow.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to a church who is looking to expand on how to do? Like, what would you tell them to do, or how would you advise someone looking to do something like that? Obviously, it's a large endeavor. And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. We could cut that one out too.
absolutely.
Yeah, because no, just because I know it's a big question, but it is important just because as time goes on, we might lose that,
Sure.
because there was so much wisdom that went into this, and that's very readily apparent. So what advice would you give to someone looking to do a church expansion in the same manner that we may have done it?
I always encourage the expansion of the church, because this is what makes it lively, and really the Coptic Orthodox Church, and this is since Pope Kyrillos the sixth, and he's the one who sort of like actually for going abroad and establishing churches abroad and dioceses and stuff like that. And it's very, very important for young age like you and for second generation, third generation, stuff like that. So we have to keep the church lively by expanding, and not only by building churches. I think we should also see that we build like schools, we build even like hospitals or senior homes. So I mean, there are so many things that our church can do. The most important is to listen to the congregation, because really you have to listen to the people, all ages, all the congregation, young age, middle age, seniors, newcomers, established members of the congregation, and take the ideas and try to fulfill it as best as the church can do.
Yeah. The most important part is you have to negotiate with the youth. You don't leave them going out. It's better to be everything in church according to God's will, and it's a huge responsibility that it might not appear now, but in years it will show if it's growing or if it's not.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
This has been probably one of my more favorite
Oh,
episodes.
no, thank you so much. No, it's
Thank
really,
you
I
so
mean,
much.
the idea of the show and I mean, the efforts that you are doing and everyone behind the cameras here, that you
We have 3 people this
Yes,
time. That
yes.
never happens. Most we've had behind the
I mean,
camera.
we really thank you so much. I mean, it's a very innovative idea. I think it's lovely. I mean, we have watched
I
most of
enjoyed
the
it.
episodes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You guys are doing an excellent job. Please keep it up and
Yeah.
expand it. God bless all of you.
Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. Thank you for coming on. We really do appreciate it. Honestly, this has been an amazing episode.
Thank you.
And God
We
bless.
enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Really do.
And God bless. And good night.